Well, I turned race night into date night. Amy and I are on our way into Northfield. I only had one in. I only had memory and imagination. I'm going to go in and drive memory, and then Amy and I are going to get a bite to eat. Long week, a great week at the barn. Did you have to reflect on the week we had at the barn, by the way? I know you've been busy. And what was your highlight of the week? Was it when Bobby almost ran away on Wednesday? Was that?
Oh, that's not funny, first of all.
Amy gets all worked up.
I ran into somebody else.
Yeah, that's all right. It happens. I run into people all the time. You guys know.
Yeah,
How many times have I run into people?
Yeah, but you don't feel bad about it.
No, I don't feel bad at all. It's just the way it is sometimes. You have to understand. I've been driving. How many horses have I driven in my life? I'm going to say, what, 35,000? Maybe not that many. Probably. There's not much you can do about it. When you're training down babies, I would rather they learn their job now. And, you know, when you have horses that are going to act up, I'd rather them act up now and then learn how not to act up. And unfortunately, there are people in this world, I'm not saying I'm one of them, but there are people in this world that have to learn the hard way sometimes. And Bobby, you know, it's one of them. It's just the way it is. It's an Uncle Peter trait. I might be an Uncle Peter, actually, now that I think of it. But Bobby was much better today. I was trying to explain to Amy, you know, and sometimes it's lost on me that the things that go on sometimes, the little nuances of our industry are missed. And I was trying to explain to Amy that when you're dealing with babies and you're training babies, you can't be reactionary. It's much like crossing the road, right? You don't wait to get hit by a car before you start looking to look both ways. It is. You have to understand, you have to be able to understand, whether it be the body language of the horse or knowing the horse, what that horse may or may not do, and be just a step ahead of them. So, as I said, when you have babies, they're 600 to 1,000 pounds. Some of them are very big, very strong, very bully. And you have to understand when a horse is going to run out, you're not going to stop a 600 or 1,000 pound horse from running out with a line and a bit. Your job is to make sure that they don't try to run out. So you have to stay ahead of them. As you're going into the turn, you'll see a lot of our horses will wear a Murphy blind on the outside. There's multiple gates at that track where the horses can exit, and they will, and they can sometimes. Well, no, they won't will. We haven't had a horse run off the track. If you've ever been to the stable and watched our horses jog or train, before they come off the track, I always turn them. You know where I learned that from? I think I told you that a bunch of times. Do you know why? Jack Darling is where I learned that from. Always turn the horses before you come off the track, just in a circle, so they never, ever get in the habit of running off the track, jogging off the track, even walking off the track, because they know where that exit is. But if they know they have to do a circle before they go off the track, they're much, much less likely to pull up like that. I don't think we've ever broke a horse that pulled up like that. We've had some really ignorant horses from time to time throughout the years. That happens. But I don't recall us ever having a horse that pulled up. And it's the little things like that that make a difference, right? And trust me when I tell you, when you do get a horse that pulls up, they're broken. There is nothing you can do. A horse that truly pulls up, runs off the track, spins around, doesn't do the work, those traits, once they're cemented in a horse, it's almost impossible to stop them.
Remember when Cake did that to me?
When?
It was when we came over here during COVID. Remember he did it to me?
No, when? What did he do?
He pulled up on the...
Mm-hmm.
And it was bad.
Hold on. On the front training, 3-point blue chip will pull up too. Those are individual traits that really there's not much you can do. Now, what we did for 3-point was never put him on the front, always put him in a position to follow a helmet, and he always raced well. He never trains well, ever. And if you ever put him on the front end, he would slow right up. He'd let right up on you. Now, he wouldn't stop and wheel around, but he would slow right up on you. He'd just pull up the front end. But that was him. And it's funny because I would never say this, but he's a Walnut, so Sterling. Sterling doesn't like you. You can't chase him with the whip, and if he doesn't like how things are going, he'll maybe decide, I'm not feeling it today.
He's getting better.
He is getting better, and that's because we castrated him, right? That's the one thing we didn't do with 3 Point. Now 3 Point, I want to believe just the way that we kind of coddled him after that. You know, he had drawn a line in the sand, and that's the one thing everybody has to understand is that these are big horses, and when they get it in their head and they decide that this is how things are going to go, then that's just how they're going to go, and it's your job to show them the right way and hope that they conform to that way. So Bobby, as I said, like all the other, and I know that I'm right with Bobby because Megan's lucky day was so bad for months and months. When we first broke her, well, I guess it was only 3 months. When we first broke her, she just was stubborn, rude, disobedient, just a bit of a renegade. And I worked on her, worked her hard for like 2 weeks, not even, maybe 10 days. And she has turned into the sweetest little horse to train now. I didn't expect her to change so quickly, but I'm happy she did. And I told Eric today, Eric went with her maybe one of the last times before I had to go with her that week. We changed her shoes, changed her gait, put the hobbles on her. And he was one of the last people to go with her, and he went with her today. And we were getting ready to turn, and I could see him kind of looking at her, and I think he was waiting for her to act up. Maybe I'm wrong. And I just said to him, I said, it's not the same horse you went with last time. She's perfect. She has just turned into an absolute sweetheart to go with, and I think you'll like what you see. Now I didn't catch up to him after, but I know she's just a nice filly. So what was your highlight of the week? Those took 6 minutes to get to here. Well, what was the first thing that came to your head? You know what? It was probably going out with me tonight. I was talking about the horses. I was talking about the horses.
You put me on the spot. And I was not feeling well this week.
Well, that's the point. Yeah, you were sick this week. It went through the household. Addie missed the last 2 days of school. I had still have a tiny tickle in my throat, but I had a cough. Many of you may have also. I had a lot of clients message me after that and say, yeah, I was sick for like 2 weeks, or I missed some work, or just felt like garbage for a few days. Yeah, I think it went through everywhere. And you know, but it did pass, and I feel great tonight. Feel good tonight. Excited to race Memory and Imagination. I hope the track's a little better than it was this morning. There's not much they can do about it. It snowed, it blizzarded, and then it was blowing so hard and so cold all day. We definitely picked a good day to just go back off with the horses because there was Arrowhead Hanover, I was planning on going mile 2, 1, 2, 2. I thought I went a mile 2, 6 with them. The track was just too snowy. But that's just the way it is. So my highlight, obviously, of the week was the barn, the general statement, the horses. We won. I said this to you the other day. We won the Open Trot in Miami Valley, which is maybe Yonkers has the highest purse for an Open Trot, maybe, but Miami Valley's right up there. We won the Open Pace with Time Is On My Side at the Meadows. We were second in the Open Trot at the Meadows with Looks Like Money. And I just got beat a whisker at the wire. And then the backup class, I believe, was Spitfire. The highlights were the impressive miles. Oh Hill No blew me away, the way she raced last night. Foxy Seaside, just a commanding performance. That was only numbers 2, numbers 3, whatever. But you can see, she's trending in the right direction. She attacked mercilessly in the last turn. Earplugs in, driving away winner. That's what you want to see. Rosetta proved that she belonged in Ontario. I know I had a long conversation today with James about a number of the horses, and he liked Rosetta. He said, but she does get rough down by the wire. She'll probably do that less in Lexington when you can pull the shoes off her. She won't be hitting as much, which he's right. But she has to learn to race on a bigger track, and she has to learn to push forward. She was using the turns as a crutch at Northfield because she could zip around them. And he said, man, can she ever go around the turns quick? And I said, yeah, she's got to learn to accelerate the straightaways. And she will. It'll just take a little bit of time. She's in the right place with the right guy driving her, I can tell you that. So everybody at Mohawk yesterday, Time Is On My Side, as I said, Looks Like Money. Did you come up with a highlight yet, or are you just going to sit there?
No, I
You just completely stopped that train of thought. You shut that down right away.
did.
Anyway, you can start that back up. What was your... So we know that it wasn't Bobby on Wednesday.
You want me to pick like a horse that I trained?
Just a horse you trained? Or?
I would say my favorite horse that I trained this week, both days, was Millie Girl.
Oh yeah, she was good. She was good again today?
Oh yeah, after I was in the safety lane on the run.
Oh yeah, so what had happened was the boys got up the quarter a little quick in the pace. I had to move Solidarity to the front, and I slammed the air on them just to let them know, hey, pay attention to your math. We were going to go in 252. You got us on track to go in 41. I just slammed the air on, and the accordion. The train came to a stop. But everybody has to...
It was like the second quarter at Mohawk.
It's like, I'm telling James she said that. But yeah, they have to learn how to do that too. And what I told you was, you're better just to let the horses ride up on a helmet rather than try to go around when you're that tight, because that's when you start stepping on wheels. That's what somebody told me anyway. I wouldn't know that, but somebody told me that.
I stepped on a lot of wheels in the last week.
Well,
I'm having a rough go.
it's the way it is sometimes. The horses need to learn to maneuver well in tight quarters, because I will likely have them there at some point. So Millie Girl, yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that. She's a nice filly. I haven't gone with her in forever, just because she's so slick. Just such a nice filly.
She doesn't wear anything. She wears a bridle and
just such a nice filly. And you know, it was such a shame with her mom when she hurt herself that time. It just and all the props go to the Schaefers for keeping that mare and breeding her. You know, a bit of an unknown, the top part of that pedigree. That mare was meant to start building that line and ended up getting injured. And for Millie Girl, man, I just a very, very nice filly. And of course, Wayne Schaefer passed away, and he had named that mare. When Jacob told me that Wayne named her Millie Girl. So, yeah, she's a nice filly. I guess my baby, well, it was Wednesday, Neuromancer. Do you want to tell them what happened when we were on the track on Wednesday?
You already did.
I know, but it's funny. I told him funny. I told him already.
That I said good luck with that or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
And then I knuckled over.
It wouldn't matter. You could have knuckled over. I could have knuckled over and still won, probably. That's how easy he won. He was.
How was he today?
Well, because you got to learn him too. Can you do that again for everybody? That is so cool.
Let's hear it.
I just wanted the horse to sit in, and he's not as good on a deep track. I want him to sit in, but when you ask him to sprint, this is a big, powerful colt. And we got to head of the lane, everybody went to sprint on a little bit, which I told him not to do, but it wasn't too bad. You know, and he wanted to attack, and he needs room. I told everybody, we're probably going to send some babies, start sending a few over to Ontario. The cattle wash filly can go over. Big filly doesn't need to be on a half. She doesn't wear a boot. She doesn't need to prove anything being on a half. It's clear she can get around a half well. And even when we cryo Solidarities, splits, PA New Jersey or PA Kentucky, he doesn't need to be at Northfield Park either. I was happy this week when ACDC made the break on me. He's got that splint. Those are the same breaks that Solidarity makes, and I just saw a clear connection between the two. And it wasn't until he made that break that I did. You know, when you palpate, when you grab his splints, they don't seem like they bother him that much. But even Dr. Latessa said, yeah, sometimes they can be hidden in there, and you may only see it at top speed when he is switching gears, and that's exactly what you do. So, so that was Solidarity. Yeah, Neuromancer was my top one, I believe. No, it wasn't. Blue Rare. Can I tell everybody about Blue Rare too? She would be a good learning tool for everybody, because she's the type of filly that is so powerful and so strong, but if she thinks she can get ahead of you for a second, she'll try. And I said that to Amy the other day when she went with her, and it goes back, and you know, and this is, I'm certainly not mocking you, but this is when everybody that trains horses, especially for us, I always try to counsel them and say, listen, you can't be reactionary. And I don't think anybody truly understands what I'm saying until I explain it in that manner. You have to be one step ahead of that baby, both for safety, but more importantly for horses.
I think what happens is you go with so many that don't do things wrong, and then you get comfortable, and then you forget that.
I just assume, I try to figure out what they're going to do wrong or what they're thinking to do.
Yeah, but you don't pick the lines up at Northfield and be like, oh, this one's going to do something wrong.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So that's a perfect question, actually. Somebody asked me last year, almost every horse. Now I'm aggressive off the gate. I don't know if you paid attention to any of the way I've driven for a while, but I'm a fairly aggressive driver in the race. So I want to know what that horse can do and can't do going into the first turn. So if I haven't driven a horse, and especially more times than not, I have the belief that most people want me to leave with the horse or believe I will leave with the horse. And
like they've listed you because
I don't want to say that, but I've kind of painted myself in a corner over the years. So I'll score the horse down. You see me score a horse down before the race?
Even if it's an 8-year-old,
yes.
6 claim.
Because I want to know if you're going to put a step in going into the first turn, if there's going to be any sort of trepidation, and where your red line might be, especially a trotter or a pacer if you know you're going to leave hard. I'll let the blast them into the first turn just for a few steps. I just want to see the horse's body language. Is the horse comfortable? Does the horse grab the right line quick? Does it touch a knee? Does it touch itself behind? Does it hit the bike? Does it get out of gear? I need to know those things, because if you're leaving in a horse race, you're not talking about floating out at Mohawk and just letting the horse accelerate into the first turn, especially at Northfield Park on a half-mile track. If you're looking to get out of there, I want to know what I'm dealing with. I want to know what I expect. I want to know what my expectations should be as I come off the car. And I want to know what's lurking in the first turn. Is that horse going to make a break, going to stick its toes in? Because a lot of the trainers, I've realized over the years too, are very optimistic also. The one line that every driver gets, especially on a horse if you pick it up, and I drove for a guy the other day, long shot, the guy I saw coming a mile away. He's telling me about the horse, I know he wants me to leave with the horse, but it's a long shot, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna anyway, likely. And the guy looked at me and goes, and he came out of the left field, and it's always the same saying: listen, I know this horse is way better than his line show. More times than not, no, he's not. He's exactly as good as his line show. And that's... But I will score a horse down, because I would never just pick the lines up on a horse that I don't know and expect him to just blast him into the first turn. Man, you do that enough times, there's going to be something waiting for you in the first turn that you may not be too happy about. And that's exactly why I do it. So when you ask me, yes, I try to get in every horse's head that I'm driving. And when it goes to the babies, I just assume they're all going to do something wrong, same as the other horses. That's why you'll hear me talking to them as they come to that turn where the gate is. I don't want it even for a second to get in their head that, oh, I'm going to drift out and I'm going to act up, because I can't stop them if they decide to. So I want to get there before that thought. Say, hey, stay straight, behave yourself, stay down here, pay attention to your work. Those types of things. They may not obviously understand what I'm saying, but they understand the tone of my voice. And that's why they generally don't do that. Is because I try to stay one step ahead of them. So it's a good practice for anybody. And I don't care what, there might be trainers out there laughing or giggling right now, but quite frankly, I've trained and driven a lot of horses in my lifetime, and I think it's much easier to teach them how to do things if you're always trying to teach them the right way. And not allowing for mistakes. Don't allow for the horse to pull up and then try to correct the problem. Never allow the problem to develop. And I think that's what I try to convey to all our trainers all the time. So when it comes to Blue Rare, but when you put her in gear and she decides she gets laser focused, she does nothing wrong. Well, you couldn't tell the other day because you were frustrated with Bobby, but she came from what seemed like another zip code to run that horse down on the front end. And I liked that, because I liked that she wanted to run that horse down. Those are things you can't teach. Those are things those horses have to want to do. Those are traits that are indicative of good horses. So,
Aunt Sarah's like that.
Aunt Sarah loves her work. Very, very nice filly in that regard. Somebody asked me that day, who's the best Ohio filly? I have no idea. They talked about Aunt Sarah. They talked about Bobby. Who's the other one you asked me about today, too? Megan. Nice horses.
No, I said who's the best Uncle Peter filly.
Oh, right. Ohio. Yeah, you did. But and I was going to say, everybody, you're not paying attention to Tomboy Strong. And I talked in this similar way to I Don't Play Nice last year. And it really backfired, and it ended up with egg in my face. But she's not like him. She's such a nice filly. We have a number of really nice Ohio bred trotting fillies. And who's our Ohio trotting colts? He's a Fearless Peter, is nice. Who's the other guy? Emerald Tom is really nice. Supermind. So again, we got some nice Ohio breds. There's 7 Ohio bred. Head to Know is nice. So there's 8. Now somebody's going to say, you didn't mention this horse. So
Yeah, well, that was your fault.
I did. I shouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole. It's my fault. You're right. I just want to make sure.
Uncle Danny.
Uncle Danny, the horse I say is the best one. And there's 9. Well, there they are. There. Here, you look for another one there. There's 9.
Trotters?
I'll tell you who was good this week. Judy's Money. Jolene Hall. Jo J. Fotag, we make fun of her. But she hasn't put her work together yet. She's this big slobby filly, and, we always had somebody go with her. And I just didn't spend enough time going with her. I worked her hard this week, and you know what I love? I love a horse that you work hard, and they just come forward. They're just much better after that second or third training, and she trained good today. There's 11 trotters for Ohio that we just mentioned. 11. So again, if you're in Ohio and one of our Ohio partners, it looks like we're in a pretty fruitful year in Ohio, I hope. So really, this is like an episode of Seinfeld. It's,
what is this about?
This video is about nothing. It's just about you and I talking about the horses and talking about this week. I already did my opening, so it doesn't matter.
Oh.
I already did that. But everybody likes to hear from you sometimes too. And I know that you were sick all week and you were a little bit tired, and you're clearly feeling better now. So I did this is your form. All a minute and a half of the 21 minutes you can use to...
21, why?
It's 21 minutes, this video so far, and you've spoke for about a minute and a half of them. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't really think today was
a meaningless day. Today, yeah. I almost didn't train the horses today because we're going back Tuesday.
So
the whole point was just, what can we do if we're not going to train today? Like, train hard. What can they learn today? And every so often, I would always do this in Ontario too. I just want everybody to go slow and always move your horse. Get your horse used to starting and stopping. And that is important. It's an important tool for a horse to be an effective racehorse. You can't always have the fastest horse on the track, but you can tilt things in your direction if you can leave quick and slam the arrow on a little bit once in a while. Right? That's how we won the next generation with Swinging Senorita that year. Remember? We went 27-3, 57-4, or 58. I got a nasty email after that mile that day. But it's always important to teach the horses. So that's always what we're trying to do. Today was a terrible day for training, but it was a good day for teaching. So I was happy with the way Bobby... No, don't kid yourself. Bobby isn't fixed today.
I'm not going with her until she's fixed.
Bobby's only problem is her dad, Uncle Peter. They just get a little squirrely sometimes, but she gets frustrated. And her first inclination, her first instinct when she gets frustrated or when she gets nervous or anxious is to bolt.
But she's like that in the barn too. She doesn't like what's going on.
That. But there's nothing wrong with having that little chip on your shoulder. You just have to cultivate it and use it to your benefit. And the only thing we have to do with Bobby is just show her, when you're in a hole, settle. I'll take care of you. Unless we hit a wheel once in a while. But most of the time, I will take care of you.
Okay, but the wheel... I don't understand why you said that.
I'm talking to Bobby. I wasn't making it. So Bobby, what had happened was Bobby went to bolt forward and ended up almost running.
Yeah, but you need to understand that it was 3 horses in front of me and 2 horses on the outside of me.
So I'll tell you what. You have 3 options at that point.
Couldn't go left. She would not let me go left.
So that option's out the door.
Yes.
So you have 2 options. Run into the guy in front of you.
Which was Joey.
Or go to the outside, try to get to the outside. Now, I was beside me. You could have just said, hey, I need a little room, and moved me over.
There was no time. It happened like that.
So then either just squeeze me over, which I've done to people many times without asking for it, or get up into the back of John.
So hit you instead of the person.
Well, you weren't going to hit me. You were going to squeeze Blue Rare, I think. Yeah. I could have moved her over, no problem. But those are things you have to do. And again, if you're ready for her to do that, if you know that she has the potential to be a little anxious and to bolt like that, you need to be in front of that. And you can tell in the lines what she's about to do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so you knew a step before she did that she was going to do it.
I knew. I was waiting. She was fine until you guys started coming from the back. And then I was waiting for her to do something.
So you were giving her an option to do it, and she did it.
No, I was But
that's what it ended up doing.
I was waiting to see if she was going to behave, because the other day when she was bad,
but this goes back to
other factors that were at play.
I know that.
So I gave her the benefit of the doubt.
So this goes back to what I said to begin with. If you weren't being reactionary, if you were in front of her and you could tell in the lines that she saw the horses coming, or she heard the horses coming, and she was starting to get anxious, right? At that point, you have to plan B it quickly. And you have to move to the outside, or you have to settle her down. But when you have young horses, that's the thing. There's not much you can do to make them settle right there. You have to teach them how to settle, and that takes time, right? You have to understand that the potential is there for her to bolt. And when you feel her start to bolt, first off, put yourself in a safe position. Secondly, try to teach her not to bolt. And you have to get her under control, put her back in the same position, rinse and repeat, but you have to do it under strict conditions where you're always one or not, if not two steps ahead of her, so that you can start to put that fire out before it starts, right? And that's what I was trying to do with her today. I didn't just go and put her right back in the same position you did. I let her coast up onto the guy's back in front of me. Then I gave myself a little bit of room, and when horses went to go by her, I could feel her start to lean forward, and I just talked to her a little bit. You know, the horses don't mind.
Was she like warm?
She was starting to get warm, and I just said, hey, and that's the other thing. You guys will see me seesaw the horses all the time. The one thing, if a horse grabs a hold of the bit hard, it takes off. There's nothing you can do, obviously. You need them to drop the bit and relax. So get her to let go of that bit a little bit and just tell her it's easy, just relax, you know. And then as that horse goes by her, she starts to dissipate. The more times that happens.
She could see the horses today, too,
and that's the other thing. We put an open bridle on her. I'm sure it did make a difference. So these are all things that we can do to stop Bobby from doing that. And at some point, now Megan was quick. Megan took 2 weeks. It doesn't generally happen. It usually takes 3 or 4 weeks, a few training sessions, so to speak, until they really start to understand, okay, this is why I have to do this, and this is why I shouldn't do that. These are things that happen all the time. But that comes from that rinse and repeat type of training. It just comes from experience, repetition. So it wasn't that I did it differently. I just didn't allow her to start. I didn't allow the spark to happen. And that's what we have to get in front of. And not just you, I'm not talking about you, but everybody. We train the horses, and this is why I'll move from horse to horse to horse sometimes. I want to assess and reassess how the horses are behaving. Is there something that can be done to help? Does there need to be vet work? Maybe the horse needs to be castrated. Maybe there's a curb coming and the horse is just pinching a little bit. Maybe there's something else bothering the horse. This is the time of year when you start to feed them a little bit of speed. Now the corks come off, the speed comes in, but then those knees start to bother them sometimes. You need to stay on top of that. And that's the other thing that we have to train our riders to do, is that always tell me if something is different. The horse is on the line a little bit more, if there's some trepidation going in or out of the turns, does the horse making breaks, does the horse have a head nod, start off with a head nod and then jog out of it. That right there is the first telltale sign. When you go on the track and the horse isn't good up front, and then after a lap or a lap and a half they are, that right there is the first indicator. You have to be very, very careful with that. And at that point, you just simply take a couple of pictures of the knees. If the knees are just open a little bit and the third carpal's a little reactive, just back off. Put a little blister on the horse. Maybe just jog the horse for 10 days or a week and no training. But that's how you nip that stuff in the bud. But when it goes unnoticed or undocumented or untalked about, well, now you're starting to get yourself in trouble. So a little glimpse, really nothing. This is, as I said, a Seinfeld episode. It's a show about nothing. But I wanted everybody to know, I like talking to you about the horses, especially when it comes to Bobby, because I know how much you love her and I know how fast she is. There's no two ways about that. But I wanted to talk to you and let everybody know exactly how things can happen on the track and what we go through, what's our protocols to nip that in the bud. So, I was happy with the horse. As I said in my opening video, I've said it like 5 times in the last 2 days. Super happy with the way the barn in general has behaved, acted, and operated this week. You said, who was your favorite? Millie. Millie girl was your top.
She was
your top seed this week. Look, you want to talk about a worker? That kid right there, Cordon, works for us. A year and a half ago, he came to us, and he knew nothing about horses. And I mean nothing about horses. He's worked his butt off. That kid right there does minimum 3 paddocks a night. Minimum.
I was going to say, is he doing someone else's horse?
That's not our horse.
Oh.
He does a minimum 3 paddocks a night. I went to him the other night. I said, you doing the horse in the 10th? He goes, no, I took the horse in the 6th because I had an opportunity to do the paddock in race 9 and 15. Wow. 3 paddocks a night. 6 days a week. Good for him. Good kid. Really good kid, and I wish him all the luck. Him and his girlfriend Kaylee work for us, and they're good people. So I'll end our video with that note. I'm going to go race memory and imagination here in 12 minutes.
All right,
I'm going to park right here and go up and blow the breathalyzer, honey, and then I'm going to go with my suit on. So I'm going to go race memory in about 10-15 minutes. You and I are going to go get a bite to eat. It's going to be a good Saturday because it's been a good Saturday. It's been a great week. What else? Well, who'd you train this week? Anybody hard, fast? Maury. Tell them. How's Maury going?
It was good.
Maury's training good. Did he take the Succeed today?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. But the only issue with Maury, it's always been the way his whole life. He's a little picky with his feed sometimes. So we change his feed up, try to give him the best feed we can. We try to give everybody the best feed we can. But Maury's had to be changed a little bit. And then we put him on some supplements. Had him on Gastrogard. He was good. But we want to change it to something that'll help him get a little bit better. So we switched him over to Succeed. And hopefully that helps. It's not like he's still strong and being good. But, you know, this is a horse with high speed. And we'd like him to have a great year. So right now is when we start putting in that foundation. And you can't put any faulty bricks in the foundation or concrete. Because you're going to start to see a crack in July and August. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Anything to close the video with?
No.
Just your undying love for me? Okay, see you later. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.